It is Monday, May 18th, 2026, and this is The High Road, Logistics and Leadership. I'm Elena Rossi, and I'm here to make sure the data doesn't lie, even if the drivers do.
This is Buck Reynolds.
I'm Jules Sterling.
And I'm Dan Miller. We have a great show for you today.
Well, you see, we've got a really solid lineup today, folks. It's a bit of a recovery day after that CVSA road check blitz last week. And, well, quite frankly, the data coming out of the operations room right now is fascinating.
Action-packed is the word I'd use, Elena. Yesterday, we were talking about that $10.65 per bypass saving from the pre-pass mile marker report.
Still not convinced on that math, Dan.
We know, Buck. We also looked at that USMCA deadlock with Mexico hitting $84 billion in trade and that wild Microvision acquisition of Luminar's assets. Oh, and the SCOTUS ruling on broker liability. Oh, talk about a game changer.
It really was a heavy news day yesterday. I'm still thinking about that FedEx Freight spinoff. The board officially gave it the green light.
Actually, it's not just a green light. It's a structural pivot for the whole LTL sector. But today, we need to look at what happens after the blitz. I mean, we just came out of the 2026 CVSA road check, that 72-hour gauntlet of inspections, and the theme this year is all about operational consistency.
It's like the post-game film,
Precisely.
Right?
The Mile Marker 2026 Index is showing us that carriers aren't chasing top speed anymore. They're chasing predictable arrival windows. Actually, if I may, the fleets using integrated bypass tech, like Prepass, saw significantly higher uptime last week during the road check compared to the guys still doing manual entries.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, look, you can have all the green lights in the world, but if your ELD is taped over or your straps are frayed, the DOT is going to find you. My thing is, did they really catch more tampering this year?
Actually, the preliminary data says yes. The focus was heavily on ELD tampering and cargo securement. For the 48% of fleets still living in that half-scheduled reality, the road check was a total disruptor. They were stuck in multi-hour queues while the top-tier guys just buzzed right past.
So it's sort of a consistency tax for the ones who haven't automated?
Exactly. It's about reducing variability. If you can't predict your transit time because of a random inspection at a scale house, you can't manage a modern supply chain. I mean, the iron lady in me loves the compliance, but the risk manager in me loves the data trail.
It's funny you mention the tax of being inefficient, Elena, because we're seeing a real human cost right now, too. I mean, the logistics workforce is in this really strange place today. We're calling it the workforce paradox.
Is that like a prevent defense that actually works?
Not exactly. Well, okay, here is the play. Fresh data out this morning confirms over 5,100 freight-related layoffs just in the last month. We're talking about big names, too. Geodis, Ryder, DSV.
5,100 families. That's a lot of empty cabs.
It really is, Buck. And, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is pointing at couriers and messengers as the hardest hit. They lost 17,000 positions last cycle alone. UPS is actually planning to cut 30,000 positions throughout the rest of the year, mostly through attrition, while closing 24 buildings.
I suppose that's the realignment the suits keep talking about.
Right? But here is the kicker. While the middle market brokerages and legacy warehouses are bleeding out, Averitt just announced a $113 million mega campus in Kentucky.
Wait, so we're cutting 5,000 jobs but building a $100 million campus? That's a classic rebuilding year move. They're moving the pieces around the board.
Exactly, Dan. It's a bifurcated recovery. The industry isn't necessarily shrinking, it's just retooling. We're moving away from manual operations toward these massive tech-integrated regional hubs. It's sort of, out with the old, in with the automated, right?
Actually, I see it as a flight to quality. If you can't survive the margin squeeze, you're out.
Or you're just being replaced by a computer that doesn't need to stop for coffee. Speaking of margins, I think it's time we talk about what's actually burning the holes in our pockets this week.
Now it's time for Diesel Dispatch, our Monday segment where we break down the fuel benchmarks and the macro drivers hitting your tank.
Well, here's the deal. It's Monday, May 18th, and the EIA National Retail Average for on-highway diesel just hit the tape at $5.64 per gallon.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch is one way to put it. It's up about half a cent from last week, which sounds small until you realize we've been climbing for 3 weeks straight. We are firmly in the red zone for carrier profitability.
Look, the bottom line here is the buffer crisis. That's what's driving this. Brent crude is over $109 a barrel, but the refined stuff, the diesel, is actually outrunning the crude.
Why is that? I mean, if we have the oil, why is the diesel so much more expensive?
Because the refineries are hitting a bottleneck. Global inventories have drawn down by over 500 million barrels since the Strait of Hormuz blockade started 11 weeks ago. Distillate stocks in the U.S. are well below the 5-year average. We have zero cushion left.
I mean, my guys at the stops are telling me the same thing. It's not just the price. It's the worry that the pump might actually run dry if a refinery so much as sneezes. And at $5.64, Dan, the fuel surcharge is eating up 35% of the total freight spend on some lanes.
Actually, you see, that's what I was warning about. Shippers aren't just managing a price point anymore. They're managing a supply chain at war.
Right. It's a war premium. WTI crude is hovering at $102. Shippers are looking at this flat movement this week as a warning sign, a deceptive calm before the next spike. If you aren't routing tighter and idling less, that $5.64 is just a slow-motion bankruptcy.
That's Diesel Dispatch for this week. And man, I wish I had better news for the owner-operators out there.
We really do appreciate the support. It keeps us from having to take side gigs as dispatchers.
Well, speaking of those fuel drivers, let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. We are now in week 11 of the de facto closure. It is the biggest maritime crisis we've seen in our lifetimes, maybe ever.
It's a mess, plain and simple.
Look, the last 24 hours have been a total ticking clock scenario. President Trump just got back from a summit in Beijing with President Xi. Apparently, Xi agreed that Iran shouldn't have nukes and wants the strait reopened. Trump's been on social media telling Tehran that time is of the essence.
I suppose that signals a potential for large-scale military operations if the diplomatic channel fails.
It's so scary. And did you see the report about the Barakah nuclear power plant in the UAE?
The drone strike. Yeah, May 17th. The UAE says there's no radiation leak. The plant is still running, but it provides 25% of their power. The energy market basically had a collective heart attack when that news hit.
Actually, the most concerning part for me is the new oversight body Tehran announced today. They are officially saying that only vessels from friendly countries get through. Everyone else has to coordinate directly with the IRGC.
Friendly countries. That's just a fancy way of saying the people we haven't shot at today. I mean, it's arbitrary targeting, pure and simple.
The financial toll is what's staggering. We're seeing oil at $111 in some markets, and the war risk insurance premiums for a single transit have hit $3 million per vessel.
$3 million? Just for the insurance?
Actually, yes. It's making the just-in-time model completely untenable. Shippers are pivoting to total value resilience, which basically means they're hoarding inventory because they don't know when the next ship is getting through.
It's like everyone's trying to buy up the whole draft class because they're afraid of a lockout. The inventory shift is real, folks.
Well, while we're dealing with international blockades, the federal government is actually trying to fix the blockades right here at home. Secretary Duffy just announced $3 billion for bridge infrastructure.
Only $3 billion? My thing is, that'll fix about 4 bridges in Jersey and we'll be out of cash.
Well, you're not wrong, Buck. But it's part of the Bridge Investment Program. They're targeting bridges in poor condition that are critical freight corridors. The idea is to remove those weight restrictions that force your guys to take 50-mile detours.
I love it. Get back to basics. Cut the red tape. If we can't move the ball because the bridge is out, we can't score.
It's a long-term play, right? But the short-term crisis seems to be cargo theft. Did you guys see the Corca Act?
I have it right here on my desk. The House just passed it. Cargo theft has surged 1,500%. Yes, you heard that right. 1,500% in the last year. It's costing the industry $18 million every single day.
Ooh, 18 million? I mean, that's not just a couple of guys stealing a TV off the back of a trailer.
Actually, no. It's sophisticated criminal networks. They're using strategic theft, fraudulent pickups, identity theft, double brokering. The Corca Act is supposed to give the DOJ more teeth to go after these guys.
It's so brazen. I have clients who are terrified to put high-value retail on the road right now without 2-man teams and GPS sensors on every single pallet.
Look, bottom line, if we don't have security, the infrastructure doesn't matter. It's like having a great stadium, but the gates are wide open for anyone to walk in and take the equipment.
And that actually leads us into our main story today. While we're worried about people stealing trailers, Amazon and Walmart are busy trying to take over the entire rural landscape with a tech stack that honestly looks like science fiction.
This is the real heavyweight fight, guys. We are talking about a $1 trillion rural retail opportunity. That's 20% of all U.S. retail spend. And traditional carriers like FedEx and UPS have been pulling back because it's too expensive to deliver a box of Tide to a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
So Amazon and Walmart are just stepping in?
Stepping in? They're sprinting in. Over the last 48 hours, reports are confirming that both giants have made rural delivery their primary growth strategy. Walmart is using this hexagonal mapping system instead of traditional zip codes.
Actually, the hexagonal grid allows for much more precise route optimization. They've added 12 million households to their same-day service in just 1 year.
I mean, how? Are they flying drones into the cornfields?
Some of that, sure. But it's mostly agentic AI. They've got these hyper-automated regional warehouses that use autonomous agents to predict what people are going to buy before they even click order. Amazon is putting up $4 billion just to build out a dedicated rural network.
It's sort of, scary, right? I mean, if Amazon knows I need green juice before I do, that's a lot of data power.
My thing is, the risk of synthetic identity fraud is skyrocketing with this agentic commerce. If the AI is making the purchase decisions and the AI is managing the delivery, where is the human oversight? I'm looking at this from a liability perspective, and it's a nightmare.
But look at the efficiency, Elena. Walmart in Bentonville just expanded their automated delivery radius from 10 miles to 30 miles. That's a massive increase in territory without adding a single human driver.
Without adding a driver. That's the part that gets me. We're talking about agentic AI doing the planning, autonomous trucks doing the middle mile, and gig drivers in their Honda Civics doing the last mile. Who's checking the oil? Who's making sure that Honda Civic has brakes?
Exactly. The lack of vetting for non-CDL gig drivers is a massive indemnity gap. I've said it before. Complacency is the precursor to catastrophe. We are moving so fast into this rural frontier that we're outrunning the safety regulations.
But the customers love it, right? If you live in a town of 500 people and you can get same-day delivery, that changes your whole life. It's hard to argue with that kind of service.
It's a total game changer. Walmart's hexagonal strategy is basically a full-court press on the rural market. They're using their existing supercenters as hubs, while Amazon has to build from scratch. It's a clash of the titans, and the prize is a $1 trillion market.
I suppose. But you also have to look at the classification debt we talked about last week. If these rural networks rely on misclassified independent contractors, the legal blowback could be even more expensive than the $4 billion Amazon is spending.
I mean, the thing is, the more tech you add, the more things can break. I'd still trust a guy who's been driving those rural routes for 20 years over a hexagonal map any day of the week.
Well, Buck, the map doesn't ask for a raise.
No, it just crashes and sends the truck into a ditch.
Well, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. We need the tech to reach these areas, but we need the human relationship to make sure the delivery actually, matters.
Actually, that's a very fair point, Jules. Whether it's $111 oil or a $4 billion rural network, the common thread is that we are in a period of unprecedented structural realignment.
It's a rebuilding year for the whole industry, folks, and the scoreboard is moving fast.
That's all for today's High Road Logistics and Leadership. We've covered everything from the post-road check consistency tax to the $1 trillion battle for the American farmhouse. It's clear that whether you're managing a fleet or a retail giant, you'd better have your data in order.
Later.
Bye.
See ya.
Keep your eyes on the road and your